When it comes to connecting your world, what's your bottom line?
Controlling how, when, and where I watch my favorites.
Reliable connection to work at home.
Having options to fit my lifestyle.
High-speed internet so the fun never stops.
Streaming on multiple devices with no buffering.
At Eagle Communications, meeting your wants, your needs, your way is our bottom line. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to our Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks as always to the producer, editor, and behind the camera work of Brandon Cooley, Eagle Community Television, producer and director. And thanks for watching. We're in the studios today with Stephen Hopson, who is coordinator of student involvement at Fort Hays State University. Fraternities and sororities at Fort Hays State University raised more than $5,000 for charities during the fall 2017 semester. We're going to talk with Stephen about that in just a few minutes. But Stephen, let's go to some basics first if we could. What's the Office of Student Involvement about? What does it do?
So there's myself, and then I have a counterpart, Brittany Squire, who is the other coordinator of student involvement. And we work with on-campus student organizations to help them kind of A, get established, and B, fulfill what they want to. So I specifically work with fraternity and sorority life. So I help chapters kind of create ideas and initiatives that they want, and I help them enact them. And on my counterpart side, Brittany's side, she helps student organizations as a whole that kind of fall outside of fraternity and sorority life kind of do the same setup.
You're a liaison, if you will, between the university and those organizations, specifically in your case, fraternities and sororities then.
Yeah, they do some amazing work. I just get to help tell their story.
What about other organizations that you're a co-worker involved in, to give us an idea of a few of what those might be, Stephen?
So she helps oversee the Student Organization Activity Awards. So they're an overarching school awards process and banquet to where any student organization can apply to them to try to be recognized. She also leads up the Black and Gold Academy, which is an on-campus leadership institute that is free to students and really helps them kind of grow and develop in that way.
Sounds like another community connection as we talk about that particular group as well. Let's talk a little about the Interfraternity Council itself. What's its purpose?
So the Interfraternity Council, which is commonly abbreviated IFC, is an overarching council that helps oversee and govern all fraternities. So instead of like individual chapters, there's this overarching council that has members from every chapter on it to help kind of coordinate recruitment events, campus activities, programming, things of that nature. So
a fraternity or sorority, either one, would have some national input on rules and regulations and procedures they would follow, but Fort Hays State has its own set of guidelines, if you will? Yes, and most colleges across the country also have that similar thing. There's the overarching national governing boards. For sororities, it would be Pan-Hellenic, or a variation of that. There's different kind of categories of it. And for fraternities, there's IFC and NIC, which are kind of on a national level, and then on campuses, communities have like their own IFC board that directly impacts their campus. Who makes up this IFC council, Stephen? So it's members of every fraternity. So the IFC has an executive board president, treasurer, recruitment director, things of that, and those are all students that are in each individual fraternity. And those fraternities and sororities might have different groups as far as bringing people to the IFC council then? Yeah, so each fraternity has like its own unique personality and kind of things that they hold true to themselves, which is really unique to see them all come together for like a common purpose and goal. So that's something that's super cool to see, like on my end and on outsiders' ends. That conference that we referenced, the IFC conference, a regional conference it was in Indianapolis, that highlighted Take a Stand campaign, where the Fort Hays State University IFC was honored for their campaign against sexual assault. Talk about that a bit. How'd that sexual assault campaign develop, Stephen?
Sure. So the conference that we went to is called AFLV Central. It's a part of a AFLV, which stands for the Association of Fraternal Leadership and Values. And it's a regional conference held every year in Indianapolis that's open to all students and professionals involved with fraternity and sorority life. And we're really lucky at Fort Hays State University that we get the opportunity to send students and myself and my graduate assistant to go to that conference. And so the idea for the Take a Stand program developed in the fall semester when I first got to campus, because I'm still pretty new to this. And I was talking with the IFC Council, and they mentioned this other organization that they work really closely with called Jana's Campaign. And so Jana's Campaign has a conference in the fall called the Heartland Safety Summit. It was over in Overland Park, and through our relationship with Jana's Campaign, we were actually able to send a student from each fraternity to that conference. And so on the IFC Executive Council, the membership development chair had the idea to have something that would impact the entire community, not just the 4 students that went. So when I brought this up to my supervisor, Jacob Turnus, he mentioned that he's a Phi Delta Theta, which is a fraternity that's not on Fort Hays State University, but is a national one. And he mentioned they have this program called Take a Stand, and is run through their Health and Safety Initiative, which is this lovely packet right here. And he mentioned that he could adapt the program to kind of make it broader, not very Phi Delta specific, but broader to the fraternity community. And I brought this to the membership development chair, and he really liked it. So then he worked with Jacob to kind of put on this program.
And that was part of what this regional conference was about, was an overarching view of Take a Stand, but it also involved a larger national campaign that Joe Biden, former vice president, worked on called It's On Us, right?
Yes. So the conference, AFLV Central, was able to partner with It's On Us campaign to have Joe Biden be a keynote speaker and talk about issues of sexual assault and violence and prevention and bystander intervention. And so part of the It's On Us campaign is having personalized stories from people or communities that had programs of that nature in it. And so I always try to look to recognize the community members and the chapters in various different ways, and I thought what they did in the fall was a really cool program. And so I worked with the membership development chair who coordinated with Jacob to establish it, and we wound up submitting it. And we were very shocked and pleasantly surprised to learn that we were actually one of the ones that got accepted to talk about it.
And how many were submitted? Have any idea numbers here?
I believe about 90 programs were submitted, and 4 of them were selected.
My goodness, and 4 of those selected, one of which was the Take a Stand program at Fort Hays State University.
Yep.
That's quite amazing. What's the basis of the Take a Stand program? What's the theme that you want to get out to let people know about, Stephen?
The Take a Stand program really focuses in on fraternity men's role in combating sexual assault and violence. Through all recent events going back far too long now, there's kind of been a growing movement to be more involved and to be more of an active member in combating these things. And the program that Jacob helped develop and put on really focuses on specifically what fraternity men can do to be better at this. Some of the topics include like how men talk about sex and how men view masculinity and how those can help perpetuate some of the negative images or stereotypes or kind of negative consequences to some of their actions.
It's not just directed for women then. Men can play an important role in this.
Yes, so the national statistics, and please forgive me if I get these off a little bit, but women far outnumber men in terms of being a victim of sexual assault and violence, and B, the overwhelming majority know their attacker. So it's someone like they have a relationship with in some capacity. And so the idea of the program is men have to be aware of what they're doing and what they're saying and what their actions are, because those things can create a snowball effect and have these very negative, very drastic, very unfortunate consequences.
Are there scenarios that are run through with fraternity members? Are there examples put forth? Are there statistics? How does it approach from the standpoint of men's responsibility in the overall view of their the way they approach women?
Yeah, so the program runs through a wide variety of things. It does tackle like some scenarios which are role play. One of them is, in this day and age, texting is a very big and primary form of communication. So sending flirtatious texts back and forth and making sure that, like, even if you're texting, you still have to have consent, because if you send a crude text messages that is unwarranted, that's sexual harassment.
Tell me about the impact overall, if you could, Stephen, of fraternities and sororities at Fort Hays State University to not only student life, but to the community as well.
Sure. So there's a great impact, and it's not just focused in one area. One of the things that I am super proud of, and the community has actually gotten a nice little thank you card from the city of Hays, is every Sunday a fraternity and sorority pair up, and they actually pick up some trash along the streets. They're giving up their Sunday.
Around campus then.
And in town. So
and in town too.
They take a couple blocks in town and they go and they pick up from the nights before activities.
Wow.
Which is something that's so cool, and like they started that without any prompting from any, like, myself or any of the school's representatives. Other than that, there's leadership opportunities of being able to go to the conference, like the AFLV Central Conference. There's scholarship opportunities, so a lot of organizations have scholarships to help members pay for college and to help to maintain their status in the organization. You mentioned in the beginning the community service and philanthropy accolades, which I'm super proud of, because as much as fraternity and sorority members put into their time, they're also giving back of their time.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, according to University Relations news release, more than 1,200 hours of community service. That's quite a dedication for busy college students, I think, Stephen.
Yes, and also on top of that, in the past 3 years, the community has raised over $20,000 for charities. So it was about over $5,000 just in the fall semester, but over the past 3 years has been $20,000.
That's amazing. And community service over that past 3 years, 8,000 hours of dedication, which benefits the community to a great extent.
Yeah, it's great because there's a lot of negative stereotypes and stories going around surrounding fraternities and sororities, and it's really cool and refreshing to see these positive ones come about.
How about advantages to students and as a membership for sorority or fraternity? Your chance to recruit a little bit, Stephen.
So there's endless benefits to it. One of the things that I always ask when I meet with prospective students or students that are interested in fraternity and sorority life is I ask them what they want out of their college experience, because no matter what you want out of it, fraternity and sorority life can provide that. If you want to do well academically, fraternity and sorority life has a higher GPA than non-fraternity and sorority life members, and that's for the past 12 semesters, which is very impressive. They really put a focus on doing well academically as one of their hallmarks and pillars of their organizations. If you want to be involved on campus, 72% of our community members are involved in another organization. So they have kind of arms in a lot of different pots there. If you want to grow your leadership abilities, you have the opportunity to be on an executive council or to go to these leadership conferences. So really the possibilities are endless.
All right, now what's your story to Fort Hays State? You mentioned you're a recent arrival by a few months, I think, Stephen. How did you wind up at Fort Hays State? What's your story?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from the coast of New Jersey. So I did my undergraduate at Rider University in Lawrenceville, and through there I was heavily involved in the community, and I was also in a fraternity. So then come graduation time, I had the same thought that every graduate or soon-to-be graduate has of what am I actually going to do with my life? And so I decided I really enjoyed my college experience and all it had to offer, so I wanted to kind of start to get paid to do that. So then I went into student affairs and I did I got a master's degree up in New England College in New Hampshire. And then again, that same thing around of when I was getting set to graduate of, all right, now did undergrad, I did my master's. My options are either go for the doctorate or get a job.
Yep. What's my next step?
Yeah, pretty much. And so I was job searching, and I searched the entire country, and I found this job at Fort Hays State, and I applied. And they talked to me, they interviewed me, they brought me to campus, and I remember leaving my interview on campus and going, if I got the job offer, I'm moving to Kansas, which is not something a lot of people from New Jersey say. And so I was fortunate enough to where I was able to get a job offer here, and on the list of things I wanted out of the job, it checked off the most boxes. And so now here I am.
Well, you're bringing a lot of energy and enthusiasm to this particular work and to the fraternities and sororities as part of the Interfraternity Council at Fort Hays State. We appreciate your efforts, Stephen. Stephen Hopson, Coordinator of Student Involvement at Fort Hays State University, our community connection.
Hi, I'm Gary Shorman, President and CEO of Eagle Communications, a 100% employee-owned company. I'd like to personally thank you for selecting Eagle for your internet, television, and telephone service. By choosing Eagle, you're choosing to keep your dollars local with a company that reinvests back in your community. Let's make this a great year for your community. Check us out at eaglecom.net. Eagle Communications, our community connected.